I arrived in Osh, came to a place called Tess Guest House, which is famous for all touring cyclists, motorcyclists, people in jeeps, whatever. And that was great to have a beer and to feel like it would be a good rest and to be able to connect with other like-minded people. But the first night I started feeling quite terrible in the stomach, and I ended up having really bad food poisoning. Ended up going to one of the local hospitals just because I felt really weak and dizzy and couldn't do anything. And was pretty out of it for about 3 or 4 days, which sucked because I had no energy to interact with anyone out here, of course, and no energy to do anything on the bike or just even explore in Osh. So I was mainly laying in bed, and I mean, it happens to all of us out here, to foreigners. So yeah, that's done with. Then I had to take my bike, if you remember the bike, back to Bishkek in shared taxi, because of my brake situation, which I had mentioned earlier. So the brakes were totally screwed, and a couple of other cyclists said, oh, to go to Pamirs like that will be suicide. So I went back all the way to Bishkek, which was a pain. It's about a 12-hour ride, and the shared taxi the first way was so uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep at all. The guy kept stopping to help like his friend who was having car problems, and in the end another lady had to come and sit in the back seat of our car, so we had 4 squashed in the back seat, and it just went on. So that was kind of shit. And what's up?
Hello team!
They don't know who you are yet. I'll get to that.
Yeah, you will see.
I'll get to
that. You will see me a little bit.
I'll introduce you soon to these guys. The afternoon, right before I was planning to leave, I finally met a couple of guys who were also heading into the Pamirs. These 2 guys that just jumped in the camera. We're going to be teaming up and riding together for the Pamirs, and I'll introduce you in a bit. I was really worried. I'd lost a lot of motivation, especially being sick. Scared to do this part alone just because of the temperatures and stuff, but now I'm really excited to have company. This is going to be a nice new experience to travel with a couple of other guys for a while, and it'll make the challenge of the Pamirs a lot easier because the temperatures are going to get crazy, probably 10 or 15 below zero sometimes at night. It's going to be really tough roads, not much civilization, very tough conditions, so it's going to be a big challenge. But now I'm feeling a lot more excited again, especially after 10 days without riding at all. Just gotten out of the tent. It's not even that early, it's probably close to 9 already, but it's seriously cold this morning, and it's only going to get worse as we get higher into higher altitudes. We're still very low today, and today is going to be tough. We're doing about 1800 meters of climbing. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but into the mountains up there, it's so much snow, and I don't think the sun is going to come out today. So yeah, I'm gonna pack up, maybe try and cook some breakfast, get some energy, and hit the road. Well, I've only done 5 kilometers so far today, and it's already snowing pretty heavy. I think it snowed a little bit overnight, but not enough. This morning seemed okay, but as soon as I've taken off, the snow has hit. I've left a little bit for the other guys, so they'll be somewhere coming up behind me. Could be worse. It's probably going to get worse though as we head up the big pass leader. So yeah, we're in for a challenging day, interesting day, that's for sure. Chocolate! Woo! But today is one of those days that isn't made any easier with the knowledge that all of my family and many of my friends are sitting back in comfort by the TV with loads of snacks and beer watching the Australian football grand final. It's a special day of the year for many Australians and it's happening right now. So while I'm on this climb, they're all doing that. So I hope you guys are all enjoying the game and the beer and the food and thinking of me struggling up this hill. Alright, I'm gonna keep going. We're almost at the top of the pass. My quads are dying. Oh, I've got more weight than ever before really because I'm carrying so much food, especially heavy dry fruit. So yeah, this is tough. But living life. Alright, so we're here in Saritash. We've had a good rest, a lot of food, and a banya last night, which was nice. And we have a little surprise. So, we'd like to welcome to our guru, Yankee. That's correct pronunciation, right?
Yes.
So, we found her here yesterday. She was very lost and confused and sad and lonely. No, just kidding. Okay, we're about to get going, but Nico is getting drunk.
Yeah, and finishing
Right.
Yankees plate.
A lot of chicken, getting drunk on beer, even though we're about to start cycling uphill into high altitude. So it should be a good day. Just a half day today. And try and camp tonight before we go too far up into the cold. And do another high mountain pass tomorrow. So, yeah, see you on the road. Bye bye. Okay, so we're in no man's land. We've left the border of Kyrgyzstan, but there's about 20 kilometers of no man's land before you get to the Tajikistan checkpoint. Three of us guys were waiting for about 2.5 hours for Yonki because she has a lot of weight and it took her a really long time to get there. Luckily she made it just before the border closed. And we're trying to figure out what to do because it's way too slow for us to go, and she's honest about it. And she says so much stuff. Just as we crossed the border, a jeep with 3 Russian guys doing a really cool trip around all of Central Asia have come past, and we've stopped and talking. And one of I guess they're making a film too, because one of the guys is filming the whole conversation for like the last 30 minutes. And we decided to ask them if maybe they could take some stuff for Yankee that she doesn't need because she has a lot of stuff that's quite unnecessary for premieres. So she is ferociously going through her stuff right now.
You want to fill
Deciding.
some water? She's giving away water.
No, my bottles are full. So she's getting rid of loads of stuff that she doesn't need, that she's realised is holding her back.
Up this bag then.
And we're going to put them in the car, and these guys are going to take them to Murghab for us and leave them in a hotel. Which is a little bit risky because it's including her drone and her laptop and some expensive stuff. But it's going to make it a lot easier for her because she really struggled today and it wasn't even that much of a climb. So yeah, that's what they're doing right now.
And we keep ours for tomorrow. So for the pass.
I can't believe we're still standing like 200 meters from the border. No, it's okay. God, it's getting freaking cold. Whew. I tried to take a vlog earlier near the border and I wasn't filming anything, I was only talking to the camera, but the guy came over like, no video, he made me delete it, and yeah.
True, so let's do it again.
Yeah, so now we're like 100 meters further and they can't see us. So. Yeah, right. Whoa.
So we met these guys.
Oh, I have it.
You can change it so you can see.
At the border, here. Very nice guys, but they don't want us to film them. Anyway, back to you. Voilà, Bogdan. Voilà.
No problem.
Stronger man. Team qui
So in the end last night, right after we left those Russian guys in the Jeep, anyway, I said it was really getting cold and starting to get dark, we just rode on another couple hundred meters to find a campsite, and we found this abandoned building which had a lock on it, but Nicola was able to open it quite easily, so we had shelter for the night. It's incredibly dirty. Someone was living here at some point, probably recently, but there was enough space for us to leave our bikes and to sleep on the floor. It's quite nice. So even cooking, and yeah, it's quite a comfy night, actually quite warm. At one point last night, we were trying to be careful for the cars, but one Jeep went past and saw our flashlights, and turns out it was border security, and he knocked and came in, and luckily he just said, oh cool, no problem, all's good. Хорошо, he said. So we were approved by the border security. So this is the place. Pretty luxury 5-star hotel, huh? Yeah, it's a pretty nice night. Okay, breakfast time. We're in Tajikistan. Oh yeah! This is my third border crossing by bike. This is by far the most remote border crossing, and it was super easy. So easy. They just looked at the passport, the visa, the permit and stamp within 2 minutes, and we were through. So yeah, first impressions of Tajikistan. Exactly what I expected. Very remote, barren, wild, windy, very horrible roads as well. Don't know how well you can see that. I'll try and take a video. It's the road where it's just lumpy and you can't get any consistency. But yeah, pretty happy to be in Tajikistan and looking forward to the enormous challenge that lays ahead in the Pamirs. Gonna be cold, gonna be rough. Yeah, let's do it. We've made it basically to the second pass of the day. This second one was pretty easy though. we were already quite high, so we only had to rise another 300 meters, and it doesn't even feel like that at all. But either way, it's a pass, and it's time to reward myself with Snickers. So we are in the enormous bustling city of Karakol, and the first stop along the Pamir Highway. We managed to make it yesterday after a big day. This is the main road, the main strip. As you can see, there is a lot going on, as you would expect in a big town like this. Oh, it's tiny. We just found what we think is the only convenience store in the town, and there was basically nothing. Maybe like 10 different products to choose from, just rice, pasta, and a couple of biscuits and candy, and toothpaste. That was about it. Yeah, we stayed in a homestay last night, which is $10 US for the stay, including breakfast and dinner. It was really nice. We got the fire going inside, really warm. Had a good sleep. We haven't left today because Raphael is quite sick, just with the flu, so we thought we'll stay here at least half the day and decide if we want to stay the whole night to help him recover. So yeah. Почему? Как тебя зовут?
Меня зовут Висадат.
О, меня зовут Тим.
Висадат.
Висадат. Меня зовут Тим. Сколько тебе лет? Bye-bye. Found a little cafeteria to have some lunch before we go, and it looks pretty good. They've got shrimp, chicken, what do you call this?
Pie.
Some kind of pie, wine, steak, a lot of fresh fruit, and the most inappropriate poster of a Caribbean island with palm trees and fresh fruit and sand, while we're in the middle of the freezing mountains. So it's kind of funny. Yeah, we're gonna have some lunch and hit the road. So today is one of the windiest days we've ever felt in our lives, and surprise surprise, the wind is going directly in the way, coming from the way that we need to go. So it is a super strong headwind, which kind of sucks. So we're only planning to go 40 kilometers today to get to this other tiny village, because most of it is uphill. But with this wind, I think it's going to feel like 80. So yeah, going to be super tough day. Part of me is thinking, well, this is part of the challenge. It's not meant to be easy. Let's bring it on. And the other part of me is thinking, oh, I just want to go back to bed. It's going to be way too hard. so we successfully survived the day, despite riding through a very difficult snowstorm, as well as that incredibly strong wind I mentioned earlier. That was tough. In the end, we only did 40k today, and it went quicker than we expected, but it was pretty tough. The first, I guess, 25, I think a bit more, yeah, about 28 kilometers were right with this strong wind, and about 10 of those were in a snowstorm when there was nowhere to get shelter, nowhere to hide, so we just had to keep pushing through it, and it was cold. You can probably hear them, we were out of breath too, so as well as everything else we said, it's also really high altitude where we're sitting around 4,000 meters at the moment, I guess, maybe actually even more, probably about 4,300 I think. So yeah, getting out of breath really easy. Thankfully the snowstorm passed and the last 10k were quite nice. We had a bit of a tailwind, which was great. And then we found, I met a cyclist yesterday in the village in Karakol who told me there was a little village, I guess you can see behind me, it's not really a village, it's just like one little house with one guy living here, but sure enough he's taking us in, told us to come in. He doesn't speak much Russian, only really Kyrgyz, so it's a bit hard to communicate, but we're doing okay. But yeah, we'll sleep inside tonight. So it's actually going to be the 5th night in a row we haven't stayed in our tents, which is surprising, but just about to climb the last stretch to the Ak Baital Pass, 4,655 meters, possibly the highest or second highest point on the whole Pamir Highway. So it's a good achievement if we get to the top. Oh yeah.
C'est vraiment un job ça, hein. Réchauffer la batterie, putain.
Well done. And he made it. We all just made it to the pass, and we were so surprised to find Yonki here. Another reunion. She took transport from Karakol up to the top of the pass so she can ride down. So she beat us here. And yeah, we're at 4,655, right?
Yeah.
4,655. It's actually not that cold because it's quite
Let's
sheltered.
go to 5,000.
And yeah, we're pretty proud of ourselves. Well, at least I am. Yonki is too.
I'm very happy as well. Very happy. Dance like
Swimming. Woo! Mountain top dance.
mountain top dance. Mountain top dance. Voilà, 4,650 meters. Et alors, chez nous, c'est que dalle.
Good night. It is lunchtime under the bridge. Master Chef. Noodles. Noodles with leftover broken eggs that cracked in the bags. Here under the bridge. Should be good. Hello world! So basically we found this spot last night. We're about 35 or 40 k's out of Murghab. It turns out this is an old abandoned cemetery and we stopped here because there's a little bit of wind shelter and there was loads of wood, and we thought, oh, we could use all this as firewood. Last night was super cold. We managed to cook okay, had a good meal. It was very spicy, very warm inside the tents actually. Well, not very warm, but we survived. I think it would have been about -5 last night, but we survived through the night. Started to hear the snow coming down, and this morning, simply magical. It's so sunny, so warm right now.
What can we put inside?
Dates again? Or Nutella? That's how far we've come since Osh. Fairly long way on these horrible roads, these conditions. Как тебя зовут? Well, we're in our rest day in Murghab. It's been a productive morning, doing a bunch of laundry, washing pots and stuff, cleaning the bikes, getting a bunch of stuff done, and we thought we'd head out for a walk to the bazaar, try and find some lunch, and was just asking a guy like if we could find like a cafe or restaurant, little restaurant around, and he took us to a local wedding that was happening. It's a big all-day celebration, so we got sat in a room with a bunch of other men and basically feasted. Soup with meat and potato, and then loads of snacks and bread and tea and everything. Then they took us into another someone else's home where there was a room full of women and just dancing, and a little guy singing and playing a keyboard with backing tracks. So that was really cool. I would have loved to show you guys some of that, but I didn't want to film in there out of respect. Maybe if I had like a tiny camera or the GoPro with me, I could have put it out sneakily, but with this big camera, it didn't really feel right to be filming in there for their private celebration, so that's why I didn't film. So I'm just telling you guys what it was now. So yeah, we're super full. We got to experience a Tajik culture, Tajik wedding, and it was very interesting. Very nice people, very friendly people, and we might go back a little bit later too. So yeah, so that's a nice way to spend half our day off in Murghab. Yeah. So I guess most of you watching this probably don't know anything about Tajikistan. I guess I only learnt of the country probably 18 months ago. Before that I had no idea that it existed or where it was. It's pretty interesting so far. I guess if you see people in any of the videos that I've got, you notice that they're not as Asian as Kazakh or Kyrgyz, and they're a little bit more I guess maybe Middle Eastern or Arabic looking, maybe a little bit more like Turkish as well. So it's very interesting. One crazy fact that I found is that the population is even bigger than Kyrgyzstan by about 1.5 million, which I find staggering considering most, or at least half of the country is a remote mountainous region, and only 3% of the country's population live in this part of this half of the country. So I guess when we get to the other side, closer to capital Dushanbe, it's going to be very very populated in those areas. And one other interesting thing about Tajikistan is, despite it being part of the Soviet Union for so many years, you can use US dollar here. They have their own currency, Tajik somani, and one US dollar is about 8.7 Tajik somani, but most places, especially guest houses, will accept US dollars as well. So some little magazines, stores, that's the Russian word, sorry, for a store, community stores will only accept local currency. But yeah, it's pretty easy to get around. So yeah, there's a couple of interesting facts. It's only my, I guess, 4th day or 5th day in the country, so I will share a lot more with you